Okay, so let me start. So the presentation is going to both of us will partake in it. I would go first, and then at a certain point, she would continue and would wrap it up. So good morning, everyone, depending on what continent you are, but it's morning in Nigeria, and my name is Bilkisu Garba Diallo. And as you can see, my partner's name is Funto Adeh. I'm sure she would um, explain properly to you who she is. But we consist of two really strong women, two very strong Nigerians, as we like to classify ourselves. And we are actually graduates of architecture. Both of us studied architecture in our first degree. And as you can see, I went further in my second degree to still proceed with architecture. But she did something a little different, which is environmental sustainability. And the funny thing is, we actually never really knew each other at first. We didn't school together. It was just fate and coincidence that brought us together. And it was our passion and interest. It was while I was running my master's program in school, that was when I bumped into the concept of environmental sustainability and sustainable architecture. So that's why, if you noticed the name of our brand, it's called the Upcycle Architect, because literally we're architects and we upcycle. So it was, our passion for the environment. We just had like exactly the same kind of interest. And when we met, it was like we knew each other right from um, the word go. So please, next slide. Let's go on. Let's proceed. Okay, so what we want to actually talk about today, the title of the topic is upcycling in Nigeria. Sorry, the upcycle architect, 5 years in the Nigerian system. We would like, it's more of like a personal journey, a personal experience. We would like you to go through, what it means, like the ups and downs of running an upcycle brand in Nigeria, how we started, where we currently are, and where we hope to be, in future. So to start with, in 2017, um, okay, I'll get to the timeline part, but let me just take you through like a little bit of solid waste in Nigeria. I know this images don't exactly look exciting, but this is our reality. This is how a typical place, both even in the urban areas in Nigeria, look like. Our streets are dirty, our gutters are clogged, there's so many dump sites, you have stray animals eating scrap on the road, and it's really messy. And from, like research and analysis that we have done, these sites are really frustrating to the average Nigerian. And we don't only generate solid waste, we also, even in the construction industry, which is our industry, there's so much waste that is generated. And if you know Nigeria, Nigeria is a really, really, really populated country. We have over 200 million people, you understand, living in Nigeria, and there are like 36 states. The two major cities in Nigeria are Lagos and Abuja. And if you can see from these charts, is yes, it shows you like a distribution of how solid waste is spread across. In the construction industry in Nigeria, you can see how different waste is classified, from wood, glass, to a lot of non-biodegradable products. And these are alarming figures. It is projected, in fact, it's projected that in the year 2025, Nigeria will be tagged as the waste capital of Africa. And these are alarming. These are this is not how we want our country to be. These are not it's not healthy, it's not sustainable, financially, economically, in every sense of the way. It is not a sustainable habit for a country, especially as populated as us. And that is exactly where we come in as a brand. The Upcycle Architect is a social that predominantly focuses on creating amazing interior products. Now, emphasis interior products, because what we do is we pick up these scrap items, from construction sites, from everyday waste, yes, from everyday waste, and then we transform them into amazing products for interior pieces. Please just go back to the slide before this. Okay, so if you see this, this is like an analysis of how waste is being disposed in Nigeria. And if you can see, over 59, about 59.3% is through informal disposal. So you see why it's like a major problem in Nigeria. If you take a look, you can see private firms, it's just like 4.7%. Collected by the government itself is like 4.7%. And then when you talk about disposal within compounds, you can see it's like 28.7% because we have a lot of people in Nigeria that take laws to their hands. You find a lot of people that, burn their waste in their compounds, or they dig holes and trenches, and then they bury, and you see these are very unhealthy habits, they're non-sustainable habits, and most people don't realize that a lot of these waste that we generate are non-biodegradable, or they have a really um, long lifespan when it comes to um, integrating into the environment. So we need to find solutions, and that is why we exist, because we want to find creative ways to solve. We can't solve all the problems, but at least be like a front to finding creative solutions to this problem. So talking about the brand, you can move to the next slide. So talking about the brand, like I said, it consists of two strong women, myself, Bilkisu, and Funto, and we're actually like a for-profit organization because we want to also generate revenue. Upcycling in Nigeria, it could really be, tedious and time consuming. A lot. It's a financially demanding kind of business, so we actually, but we do a lot of, pro bono services. We do a lot of, um, free services, just because we want people to understand what we do. We want people to see the relevance, in what we do. And we want to encourage people and also encourage the government so that they accept and embrace the concept of upcycling as a creative solution to solid waste management. And then, people can, should I say, specialize, like zoom into upcycling and then create like more refined processes of tackling solid waste management in Nigeria. Next slide, please. Okay, so like I said, we started September 2017. So that makes it exactly 5 years this month that we've been in existence and in this business. And this is like a timeline of what we've been going through right from inception. In 2017, it was when we came out publicly, and we have like signature pieces. We've made thousands and thousands of products. And from going into other slides, you will see images, a few images of products that we make. But one of our signature products is called the bouteille table. And bouteille table is a French word which means bottle table. It's one of our signature pieces. And that was in 2017, that was the first time we created a bottle table. It's just literally glass wine bottles and a combination of wood, of course, scrap wood, to form different designs of tables. So in 2018, that was when we registered legally and formally as a business in Nigeria. In 2019, we started, hankering on social media presence, had a lot of free seminars, enlightenment programs, little bit of patronage here and there where people tell us to make, simple products for their spaces. And we started gaining a little bit of visibility in 2019. In 2020, we started, going hard, looking and sourcing for funds, because all through these years, we've been financing the business personally. No grants, no government support, nothing. It was just personal funding, which was really draining, but we kept pushing because of our passion for, what we do. And 2020, we created our first corporate website. We launched what we call TUPA Academy. TUPA Academy means the Upcycle Architect Academy, because we are still in that process in Nigeria where a lot of people do not know what upcycling is. When you tell them, have you heard about upcycling? They tell you, oh yeah, you mean recycling. And then you need to, talk about it. We created courses, about 6 to 7 courses. Funto will take you more in-depthly into the courses that we teach, that are courses that the average Nigerian can relate to. So you find courses like creative upcycling. It's usually more of like a very practical course where people, make items themselves, sustainable interior design, stunning homes from junk, things like that. And we actually, just before the lockdown session in 2020, we got a physical space. And all through that year we couldn't use the space, we couldn't do anything because of COVID-19. So it was in towards the ending of 2020 into 2021 that we realized that we could actually do a lot online, virtually, than only having a physical space where people could come. So in 2021, it got really good because that was when we had our first international collaboration with a university in the US called Butler University. They adopted our social enterprise, studied it. We lectured and mentored some students of entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship. And, that gave us like a really good ground and visibility. In 2021, 80% of our courses were online, and we got a couple of students that were willing to pay, and also a lot of courses that were still free. And in 2021, we also won an award for being like the best social enterprise in Nigeria. So it just shows that, okay, it's getting better. We are not there yet. There's still a lot to do, but we are making gradual process. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It's fine.
this is it's fine. So this is, you can see materials that we use. What we predominantly use are waste items from construction sites, household waste, and fashion waste. Now, household waste has to do with glass bottles, mainly glass bottles, because we are able to convert them into decor pieces, and they're not easily recyclable. Glass bottles are not easily recyclable. So we tend to upcycle them and make so many things out of glass bottles. We've made thousands of items from glass bottles, and yes, we source them from. We have people that donate to us. Sometimes we actually buy many times. We have people that contribute. So those are just like some ways that we source for these materials. Wood, of course, that those are very crucial materials that we use. We get scrap wood pieces from furniture factories. People donate. We buy a lot, and buying scrap in Nigeria honestly is not cheap. But we buy depending on the kind of projects that we have, and we use them for so many things. We use them for another signature piece we have, which is called the melange table tray. These are upcycled trays from wood off cuts that you use for interior spaces, consoles, credenzas, your kitchen, and so many things. So we also use wood pallets from, we get them primarily from construction sites, and we use them for so many things: furniture, partitioning, wall finishing, so many items. And then fabric, of course. Fabric, if you know, the way Africa is, we like a lot of what we call Ankara fashion, like an outfit that I'm putting on. And when you take them to fashion designers, there will always be off cuts, just like you have wood off cuts. So, and they're also non-biodegradable. So what do you do with them? We take them, we'll add them as like accessorizing pieces to make amazing products, chairs, even trays, even the trays, we combine them with wood off cuts to give you beautiful art pieces. And other products, scrap products that we use are coconut shells. We make mirrors, picture frames using wood of cuts and coconut shells. We use newspaper like paper mache and things like that. We use styrofoam. We have a styrofoam wall in our office. So the moment you look at it, it gives you this feel of being like a brick wall, but in reality, it's actually styrofoam, what we call polystyrene. And old magazines too. We make picture frames and amazing products from old magazines. So these are just like a rundown of materials that we use. Next slide, please. Next slide.
Yeah, it's gone to the next slide already. Hello.
This. But if you can see, there are three images to your left-hand side. Those are wine bottles and wood of cords, and that is what we call the bouteille table. These are just some designs of bottle tables that we've used. The first one over there that has TUPA at the top, I don't know if I can, if you understand what I'm saying, very close to the felled tree trunk. That particular table is almost 100% upcycled because those are scrap wine bottles, that was scrap wood, of course, that was scrap synthetic grass. That is a computer motherboard in the middle. And that particular table was not only serving as a table, but it was also, we designed it to also be like an art piece. So that particular table was to show people that, okay, it could actually be a table, but at the same time pass a message. And the message in that table was the computer motherboard. If you look at it from aerial view, it has this look of it being like a city. So we were trying to show people how noise pollution, air pollution, congestion in cities can be curbed using a coffee table that was upcycled and also creating it to be like a message. The other ones are just simple tables. We've made so many other tables aside these ones, but this is just an illustration. And that particular tree that you see that was chopped, that was a construction site in Abuja. And the product by your right hand side is just a, a stool, like a table that we made from that particular tree. We made so many others of different sizes. So these are just like few images. Next slide, please. The next slide is also like continuation of images. Um, Funto, are you there?
Yeah, it's gone. I think
Just more
maybe it.
images.
Yeah.
It's taking. So if you can see by your topmost left-hand side, that is wine bottle that we combined with, art motifs and fabric of cords. The next is hand woven raffia baskets with fabric of course. That particular fabric piece that you see there was one of Funto scrap fabric. By immediately after it is what we call the melange tray. These are just like an example of some of them. Those are entirely wood of quartz. The next is a picture frame with wood of quartz and what do you call it, rolled magazines. Okay, below is also a detail table covered entirely on a scrap wood and fabric pieces. It has this eclectic vibe with also bottle tables. That is a coconut mirror. Um, um, yes, and wood of course. That is me standing over this 10 feet tall recycled metal recycled. If you take a look, it looks like Coca-Cola bottle, Coke bottle. We made 10 of them for a recycling company in Abuja that collects plastic Coke bottles. So they just dump them into that. And that is over there is a chair made from a portion of scrap metal and scrap wood. Okay, next slide, please. So, like I said, we have courses, and this is around where I will stop. So the phone tour takes you a little more in-depthly into how we teach, our matrix, number of students, and challenges and possible solutions, and then we'll talk about collaboration. Thank you very much for having me. I will be open to answering your questions once we're done with the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bilkisu. I'll just carry on from here. Um, as Bilkisu mentioned earlier, part of what we do is to have a few courses, and we came about this after we realized that a lot of people do not really know about upcycling, and we felt this was a way to get people into, like, to change their mentality more or less into, like, trying to help the environment. So a few of the courses we do are sustainable interior design, and Introduction to Upcycling, Stunning Homes from Junk, Upcycling Help Decks, and Fabric Upcycling. Basically, all our courses are very hands-on, and with the courses, they range between 2 weeks to 6 months. The Sustainable Interior Design course is the one that takes the longest because we teach about like the principles of sustainable interior design, and then they have to like present and do a project while doing the course. But the rest of the courses range maybe between like have a maximum of like 2 weeks, and they're really hands-on. We try to make sure, and most of our students are usually they're really quite excited when they realize that, oh, you don't have to have prior knowledge at all about upcycling for you to be able to upcycle, and they get to take the products they've upcycled at the end of the session home, and they're always so excited to show their family and friends, oh, I made this all by myself. um, those are the courses we do. The images just show a few of the sessions we have, and then the image on the right shows a student whose presentation was done, and everything you see there was made from a completely 100% upcycled. And this just like close up images. The top image by the left, everything on the table there, it was 100% upcycled and made by the students themselves. And it's usually fascinating when we start these courses, and majority of the students don't even know what upcycling is, and by the end of the course they are making products that even we are wowed by. So it's quite interesting. And then the difference between our courses and our trainings is that the trainings is more like going to schools, talking to organizations, and then trainings are more streamlined. So if, for example, we are invited by an organization to come and train like some of their staff on upcycling, we more or less will design the course to suit what to go in line with what the organization wants. So in the image by the top left, it's an organization called Business Minds in Abuja, and they wanted to teach the women in the organization about upcycling bottles using fabrics, and that's why you see them cutting fabrics and gluing them to bottles and trying to transform the bottles in different ways. The images below are another organization, and they wanted us to teach how to upcycle tires. And the lady in the bottom left image is the same person in the image on the extreme right. She was so excited. She couldn't believe like she could make something this beautiful all by herself with just little guidance. And this was done in 2 sessions. So the first session was, as you can see, she's trying to do some designs on her attire, and she ended up with like a very beautiful design at the end of the day. But we also try to have like sessions with students in schools, because from our experience like running the business and interacting with people generally, we see like there's not so much knowledge about upcycling. So we try to see how we can pitch to schools and say, okay, you know what, we would come and talk to your students about upcycling. We'll come and show them our products. We'll do like a few quick upcycling sessions with them, all free of charge, just to get them to start like getting used to the culture of upcycling and understanding why it's important for us to take these steps in terms of helping the environment. And for our matrices, so far we have trained over 1,178 students, and this is what we have on record, because I think one of the mistakes we made when we started was we were so passionate about the environment that we forgot to keep track of what we were actually doing. So we've trained way more than this, but this is like what we have on record. We've had 10 interns since we started in 2017, and the courses that are very popular, like that everybody is quite interested in, is the creative upcycle course and sustainable interior design. The creative upcycling basically is because it's very hands-on. So by the time you're done with the course, you have products that you can actually show, like, oh, I made this all by myself. And then in terms of our impact based on how much we're actually taking off the streets in terms of waste, the major materials we use, like Bilkisu mentioned earlier, it's metals, a little bit of plastic, pallets, bottles, and majorly wood, of course. This comes to about approximately 50 tons. And the number of products manufactured, as Bilkisu mentioned earlier, like it's in thousands. But again, this is like a learning curve for us, because when we started the Upcycle Architect, it didn't start as like a business per se. It came out like as a passion, and it was more or less for us, we wanted to actually make a difference because we were not comfortable with the amount of waste that we saw on our streets. And before this presentation, we decided to like take a survey to see what our followers and people in Nigeria generally think, like where they are now with upcycling. And we asked questions like, would if they would buy a product that has been upcycled. 90% said yes. As in, we asked, have you ever participated in an upcycling event or workshop or seminar? Majority said no. We asked if they were frustrated with seeing the amount of wastes and litters on the streets generally, and almost 100% said yes. We asked if they knew what it meant to upcycle a product. Majority said yes, but from my experience, most people think upcycling and recycling are the same thing. So we have to like take our time to explain what the difference actually is. And then the final question we ask is, do you actually separate your everyday waste? And it made a lot of people, 48% said no, 10% don't even know how to, and 40% said yes. But the trick to this is that even if you separate your waste, it's difficult for you to actually connect with people that will actually take the waste, because there are quite a few upcycling and recycling companies in Nigeria, but with the population we have and the amount of waste we generate, it's really difficult to be able to keep up with collecting all this waste from the environment. The challenge is, I would just like to apologize. That's my son in the background, and normally he's asleep at this time, and it's, I don't know, he's awake now and he's just fussing. So I apologize for the background noise. Um, the challenges we have faced, and it's something that has been recurring like since we started the business. It's the lack of knowledge from the general public about upcycling. Like the a lot of people don't even believe that climate change exists. They don't they don't understand the importance of environmental sustainability, or what advantages it has with in terms of trying to trying to trying to help the environment. So the general notion is that, oh, once it's upcycled, it's inferior, it's substandard, and it's a mindset thing, and that's why when the other presentation went on, Bilkisu asked if there's a way to break this, because it's it's like it's something that we struggle with, trying to get people to actually buy upcycled products. Yes, when they see the product, oh, they're like, oh, it's so beautiful, it looks very nice, it looks wonderful, like it's very good. But by the time you get to the point of saying, okay, buy the product, they would be more interested in maybe buying new, and it's like it's a barrier that we are still trying to break, basically. Um, and then there's this general notion that the government is responsible for keeping the environment clean and hygiene, basically. So um you'd again, it's a mindset thing. So those are like the challenges we are facing as a business. And then with possible solutions, we are looking at how we can continuously enlighten people about upcycling, and then from early stages basically. And we have like a few schools who are like quite interested and excited about getting their students and pupils upcycling, teaching them about the environment, about what it entails, and it's really enlightening when we meet people like that. But this is like not even up to 1% of what of schools in Nigeria basically. And then another solution would be maybe to champion campaigns and community sensitization programs, and which we do already. We try to reach out to have um, sessions that are totally free, talk to people, and try to get them on board with environmental sustainability. And then obviously, the government support towards private organizations, championing recycling and upcycling initiatives. In Nigeria, the government really more or less, with upcycling, like it's difficult to get um, support, I would say, in terms of environmental sustainability. It's just beginning to pick up with a few policies coming in place with trying to preserve the environment. But it will be really wonderful if maybe this can move along a bit faster. And I think it brings us to the end of our presentation.